What is going on, everybody? We're doing a mock draft today for the NFL fantasy football. We're gonna have some fun today.
Tell 'em a little bit more about what we're doing today, Sam. What pick do we got? What's our strategy here? Let them know.
Yeah, we got the fifth pick in this draft. It's going to be standard scoring, 10 team. As you can see on the screen already, we have 10 teams filled up. So this draft is going to be fun. Hopefully everyone's active and no one leaves an auto draft because that just ruins all of the fun of these drafts. But yeah, we got snake draft type. So there's not going to be any auction scoring, anything. We got Mr. Bro in chat already. He says pickle. Okay, cool. And then CrowdJu VR. Hey guys, love the vids. I love the engagement that you're doing here in chat. Let's keep it going, especially when this draft starts. In just about a minute, we're going to enter the draft room. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be taking your suggestions too. So if you want, comment below in the chat who you want us to take, because maybe you'll give us an idea that we didn't even think about. We want this to be an
Sam,
interactive experience.
just go ahead and share us the draft room so we can see what's going on and what we're gonna be using.
Yeah, so the draft opens in 35 seconds, and when it does, we'll enter the room. Can you
Oh,
not
but
see the
screen share,
screen?
screen share. No, not screen share.
There we go. That makes sense. All right, so yeah, we're just about ready to join up here in this draft room. 20 seconds remaining before we get to start this awesome draft. Thank you to everyone who's going to go on this journey with us. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss a video. We're going to be doing mock drafts all the way leading up to the NFL season. You don't want to miss this. We got some of the best content we've ever made for you.
Yeah, and we should be able to join right now and see the rankings. We could talk a little bit about the rankings and what we're thinking at the number fifth overall selection. I know a lot of you guys have seen a lot of content and stuff like that on YouTube saying that the fourth and the fifth pick in a 10-team league is probably one of the best positions you can be in because you get an elite skill player in the first round, and then you can get back in the second round and get a really good running back or a really good wide receiver when it does come to your turn. So it's probably one of the best positions to be in on draft night if you are drafting and you have this pick. Personally, I do have this selection, and Sam has the fourth selection in our league's draft. So it'll be a bit interesting to see the banter you get today, going back and forth between Sam and I, who are selecting back to back fourth and fifth in our league's draft.
Yeah, so let's take a quick look as we're waiting for this draft to fully kick off what the ESPN projections are, because I already see a lot of things that I kind of disagree with. We got Christian McCaffrey projected fourth. We have Austin Eckler projected seventh. Najee Harris over Dalvin Cook. And Joe Mixon coming in at the number 10. Do you agree with these rankings, or would you like to see some of these things switched up a bit?
With all honesty, you're probably going to see a running back run at the beginning of most of your drafts. Maybe Cooper Kupp will insert himself in the top five somewhere. But I do agree with these rankings. I mean, I would probably put Austin Eckler above Jefferson and Chase. But
And what
I
about
do
Derrick
like.
Henry at number 2? That seems way too high as a reach.
I don't know if it's a reach if you're getting the best running back in football. You can put ADP out of the window sometimes, not do what the consensus is telling you to do, and just get a player that you're going to be comfortable with starting every single week. And you can't go wrong with Derrick Henry, even if is the second overall pick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you, but look, so the reason McCaffrey, I guess, is ranked number 4 is because he's coming off a really bad injury. Well, Derrick Henry's coming off a really bad injury, and you know he's not getting like those 380 carries in a season ever
Well,
again.
just to clarify, also the rankings are like this because this is a non-PPR league. If it were PPR, Christian McCaffrey would obviously be much higher than Derrick Henry because McCaffrey is the pass catching back and the do it all guy, but Derrick Henry is the goal line back. He could do it all,
He's
but he
getting the
doesn't really get
touchdowns.
those patches. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
going to
he
get
doesn't catch
touchdowns.
it.
I'm just really worried. Now, look, if we could get Derrick Henry at the 5th overall pick, that's a different story. But for number 2, I don't know. I think that you're running too high of a risk. I think his carries, his workload is going to be significantly lower than it's been in years past. You're not getting the Derrick Henry you're used to, is all I'm saying with the 2nd pick. And of course, Jonathan Taylor is off the board. What a surprise. I don't think that's a shocker to anybody. But number 2 has some decisions to make, and he takes Christian McCaffrey. So how do you think this draft is turning up so far? We have our choice here. We could get Austin Eckler with the 5th overall pick. I think he's the 3rd best running back this year for fantasy football. What do you think, Jonathan? We got 30 seconds here before we have to make our pick.
So right now, Austin Eckler is probably the safest pick, and we don't necessarily want to go receiver. We think the ADP for Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase is a little too high. So you're looking at Eckler, Najee, or Dalvin Cook, and Joe Mixon, honestly. You could pick your poison. You can't go wrong with any of these selections. Austin Eckler is probably in one of the most exciting offenses in this team, so I think we should go with Eckler.
Absolutely agree with that. Dalvin Cook maybe is another option I would have considered, but Austin Eckler, he's going to have guaranteed production, both as a rusher and a receiver, so you kind of get that double trouble. I know this is standard. You don't get any extra points for reception, but those receptions are extra yards that you won't be getting with other running backs.
100%, 100%. And I love the selection. You build around a guy that's a safe pick that's going to do it all. He had some injury concerns last season. Hopefully he can put it behind him and have another fantastic season in one of the most exciting offenses with Justin Herbert at the helm. And the passing game is going to be phenomenal, which opens up the run for a pass catching back. Talk about the selections that we see going out here.
So yeah, we get kind of the standard run. It seems like everyone's just picking whoever the highest ranked guy is right now, and that's fine. That's an interesting pick. Alvin Kamara goes round 2. There's a lot of question marks whether he's going to be able to play the whole season. There's a potential suspension looming, so I would not pick Alvin Kamara that early. Although he does have obviously the talent and the upside. Okay, we are on the clock. We have our choice. We have our choice here of some absolute studs. We could get DeAndre Swift and have 2 lockdown, just super safe, great running backs. We also have Tyreek Hill, who could have a really big season this year with the Dolphins. And then there's Leonard Fournette, who's ranked the 1st. What do you think?
I think all of these players.
Or Nick Chubb. Players. I didn't even see Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I would go with any of those running backs. I'd like Fournette and Chubb. You pick your poison. You got 4 seconds.
I'm going to go with Nick Chubb, especially with no Deshaun Watson for the first, 11 games of the season. They're going to be relying on that run like it's nobody's business. And Nick Chubb is going to get a lot of that value. I want to target Kareem Hunt later in this draft as kind of a handcuff to Nick Chubb since we got him. But can you ask for a better team than Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb after the first 2 rounds as the 5th round pick?
You can't really do that, Sam. This is why I was giving so much praise to this overall selection at number 5. You get so much depth with your selections. I mean, when the turn comes to us in the 3rd round, we're looking at guys like Aaron Jones, Mike Williams, James Conner, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans. Like, these are phenomenal players at the value you're getting them in the 3rd round. Once you have your running back core set with Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb, there's 0 complaints on my end. I love these selections so far.
Yeah, and one thing in fantasy, I don't know if this is news to anybody, but if you are tuning in for the very first time, if this is your first year doing fantasy, you want to watch for those runs. So if a bunch of people are picking running backs in a row, that means a good wide receiver has slipped. And the same thing happens if there's a big wide receiver run, that means a great running back has slipped. So pay attention to those runs and you could get insane value for your pick. And that's, I think, how we were able to get Nick Chubb because there's a big wide receiver run. So Chubb slipped further and further and further down in the draft order. We got 2 tight ends off the board now, Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. I know you have some thoughts about tight ends going early in drafts. You want to talk about that?
Well, tight ends are okay or not, but I don't want to dwell on that for a second. It is our selection. We have some discussing to do. Javonte Williams still on the board. Mike Evans still on the board. A.J. Brown still on the board. James Conner and Aaron Jones. Sam, do you want to stack 3 RBs or start focusing on our wide receivers at this point?
Wow. I would not mind having Javonte Williams as my flex, my 3rd option at running back. I don't know. All of these wide receivers are kind of in the same tier to me. Not any of them are jumping right off the page. And Javonte Williams is a certified RB1 on his team. I know Melvin Gordon said that he is not going to be the main guy on his team. So Javonte Williams, you like that pick?
I like it. Let's go.
Let's go. Javonte Williams. I am amazed at how we've been able to get to this part in our draft. This is picture perfect. I'm over the moon if I get this. If you're drafting in your league and you get Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams as your first 3 picks, and so many great receivers still on the board available for you when it's your next turn to pick, wow.
Yeah. And if you guys are on the stream right now or you are watching this on YouTube later, make sure to leave a like on the video. We appreciate everybody tuning in. If you like these 3 selections so far, let us know. Let us know what you would have done different so far. We are interested to see because, a lot of people focus on the top 3 rounds, seeing as that is the tone you are setting for your team for the future. And if you do those 3 rounds well and you set up a strategy that you like, Sam and I went 3 RB, so we're hoping we can get some good receivers the next time it comes around to us. So, make sure to let us know if you like this strategy or not.
Yeah, and if this was a real league and not just a mock draft, you also have the potential for some trade bait here because a lot of teams are now going to be left without an elite running back, especially at that flex position. So you could probably get some good wide receiver value in a trade potentially too. That's another thing you got to think about here. I know Jonathan is a massive fan of trading. I'm a little bit more reserved the way I trade, but yeah, it looks like in 3 picks we are on the clock again, and we have so many great receivers to choose from. Who's your favorite? Just looking at the board right now, knowing that we're picking soon.
So I like a lot of these guys. I like AJ Brown. I like Keenan Allen. I like, Cortland Sutton's a good option as well. I think Keenan Allen would be the safest pick for us here. I think he is the most talented receiver. We just got to worry about those hamstrings a little bit. But if it all pans out at the end of the day, Keenan Allen's going to be an absolute stud.
Yeah, I like Keenan Allen. There's a lot of other really good picks here on the board too, but I think that Keenan Allen's a really safe pick. He is a veteran with a lot of name value too. Again, like I was talking about earlier for trades. And, he's going to give you the production. If he's your wide receiver 1 in the 4th round, you're happy with that. You take it all day.
And it's not a bad start to the team. We are invested very heavily in this Chargers offense being successful. And if I were a betting man, that would be a safe bet to make. This is probably going to be, again, like I said when we selected Austin Eckler, the most exciting offense in the league. And we just got 2 of the beneficiaries, the primary beneficiaries from this offense. And it's a no-brainer on my end.
Yeah, now I have a question. So we're coming back up in 3 picks. We obviously are still missing at least 1 more wide receiver. Would it be too much of a reach to take Justin Herbert and complete the Chargers trio, the trifecta? You're getting points on practically every touchdown that team scores.
We're going to tank week 8, though. I'll tell you that, with the bye week comes around.
True.
There are a lot of options with skill positions. I don't mind taking a quarterback later in the draft. Justin Herbert is going to be very exciting for sure. But the Chargers are going to be amazing, and I wouldn't mind taking Justin Herbert. He's going to be a sure, safe bet in fantasy this year. This is interesting, Sam. We got Ezekiel Elliott, DK Metcalf, Jerry Jeudy, Gabriel Davis, and Josh Jacobs. We have a lot of good options right here. What are you thinking we should do?
Yeah, this is a tough one. So obviously, I wouldn't take Zeke, especially when we already have Eckler, Chubb, and Williams. So we're really looking at some receivers here. I think Metcalf is going to fall off a little bit. Jerry Jeudy is going to be great this year. Gabriel Davis also is going to have a lot of upside. And then we still have the Herbert pick. So if I'm between 2 guys, I'm between Jeudy and Herbert. We need to make our pick in 8 seconds. What do you think?
I would take Jerry Jeudy to be our wide receiver 2 here.
Let's go for it. I'm perfectly happy with that. He's going to have Russell Wilson on his side. And Cortland Sutton, I think, is going to take a lot of attention away from Jerry Jeudy. Judy's going to be open in the end zone a lot. Kind of like how Calvin Ridley played off of Julio Jones a couple years ago and was able to be a fantasy stud. I'm envisioning a similar future for Jerry Jeudy.
You never know. Jerry Jeudy may emerge as the wide receiver 1 in this offense with Russell Wilson, making the ball go crazy. We've seen what Tyler Lockett has become. Even next to DK Metcalf, who was an absolute stud. But in the past, the wide receiver 2 in Russell Wilson's offense ate, and they
Yep.
ate nice. So
Oh,
we
and
see
Justin
the
Herbert is off the
QBs.
board.
We see the
So
QBs go off the board. I'm not, too worried because I there's a nice running back or two here that we could target. Um, even some receivers. I mean, the receivers are pretty stacked right now. I know a lot of people like Darnell Mooney for his ADP. I don't know if I want to invest in a player in the Chicago offense. That's another question. But what are you thinking our strategy should be when it comes around to us?
it depends on who falls to us, but we are still thin at wide receiver. So if we could get one of those guys in the top 3, 4 remaining, I'd be happy with that. Gabriel Davis probably is my favorite of the bunch, but I don't know if he's going to slip because he is that good. Looking on the running backs, I am not sold on Antonio Gibson. He's been falling down the depth chart in that Washington offense. I'm kind of scared. I would stay away from Gibson.
Yeah, I think we should maybe invest in a running back here, in Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Look, if he's there, it's not a bad pick. Darren
There goes
Waller's off
Darren
the
Waller,
board.
who I was considering as well. But this might be the perfect time to go for a QB here. We see 2 tight ends go off the board, 2 wide receivers. Gabriel Davis is still a player that I think is going to have a phenomenal year. He will be coming off our bench, so he would be able to slot in for Jerry Jeudy if he has a good favorable matchup. I like Gabriel Davis a lot. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. You can't go wrong. Sam, I'll let you break it down and see if you can convince me to go one way.
Yeah, it's really stuck between the two. We got 20 seconds to pick, and you're right. Lamar Jackson is going to give you a running back's level of value as well as the passing. I'm leaning Lamar Jackson here.
Let's do it.
Now we have a very balanced team. We got 2 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and our quarterback. I don't think there's going to be any tight ends worth reaching on in the next few rounds because already the main 3 are off the board and Kittle, so the top 4 are off the board. So no need to even consider that tight end until later in the draft. We just got to focus on some receivers, and we got a lot of good value here. I see Adam Thielen is available. I see Rashad Bateman, who I like, and both of those guys should be available. In fact, we're picking next, so we even have more options than that. We got Michael Thomas. He could be, even 80% of his peak form is good enough to be on our bench. What do you think?
I don't know. I like Michael Thomas. I like Devontae Smith as well. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be an interesting target for Patrick Mahomes now that Tyreek Hill's not there. We don't know who's going to emerge as the number 1. And if you want to take the gamble that Juju Smith-Schuster will emerge as the number 1, this might be the time to take him. Adam Thielen is an older receiver. He plays a lot of the slot for this team. So he's a reliable target. But Sam, I gave you my 2 cents. You decide.
If I'm picking, I'm going Michael Thomas.
Go for it.
That's my opinion here, because if we were still missing a receiver, I might not have made that gamble, but he's coming off our bench. If Jameis is able to come back to a form that he's not just throwing picks left and right, if he could throw the touchdowns and throw it accurate, if Michael Thomas is at least 80% healthy, you're getting a wide receiver 1 right there. Like league winner wide receiver 1 right there. Again, will it happen? I don't know. It's a gamble, but when you already got Keenan Allen and Jerry Jeudy, you can afford to take a small gamble like that. That's what I think here.
Yeah, and we are tanking tight end a little bit, and we are getting to the Dalton Schultz range, which I really like. I feel like it could be a reliable target for Dak Prescott and this Dallas offense. So if there isn't a tight end, he goes off the board. So there goes my hopes and dreams. Maybe we can invest in Dallas Goedert here as well. Tight end is looking nice. I do like a lot of the running backs here. Maybe we go running back.
I was going to say, this might be a little reach, but if we could handcuff Nick Chubb with Kareem Hunt in our next pick, that's our draft strategy fulfilled to the T. What do you think of that?
I don't know if I agree with that. There are still players like Damian Harris, who is the RB1 for his team, who will definitely get a lot of, target share and volume. And I don't know. Some of the guys that we were talking about wide receiver last round are still here, which means that we are getting good value, and none of them are quote unquote headache players. Devontae
Juju.
Smith is going to be productive.
Juju's
Juju
a
could
little
emerge
headache.
as a wide receiver 1 in this offense, Sam. Behind Travis Kelce, I don't think there is another true true wide receiver one target other than Juju. He won't be available by the time we select, so it won't even be an issue for us. Um,
Okay,
Sam,
before we pick Caleb Sport Shorts, can you have a shout out? Only if you help us with one of our next few picks. So type whoever you want us to take below. But anyways, yeah, we got still same wide receivers we were talking about. Thielen, Hunter Renfrow, I think is going to get a lot of benefit from Devontae Adams, taking a lot of the defense's attention away from him, and Kareem Hunt. You can make this final pick here because I've been making the last few final picks. What do you think?
we could secure the handcuff for Chubb. It's just a safe draft strategy. Tony Pollard's also a good selection here, but Kareem Hunt is definitely the safe way to go with Nick Chubb.
Especially if he gets traded, because
Hmm.
there's still some momentum going for a potential Kareem Hunt trade, and wherever he lands, he will likely be the RB1.
Definitely.
I'm really liking this draft so far. While we wait for our next pick, we got six picks before our next one. Let's just do a quick summary here. What do you think of our draft?
Right now, it's a very well balanced draft. What I've noticed from what we've done is we haven't stacked too heavily on one certain position. We've kept it balanced throughout. Tank tight end, which isn't the worst strategy. If you get the skill positions, there's only like three or four, maybe five tight ends that are really worth reaching on early. And we didn't get any of those unfortunately, but there's still some good guys by the time we should select here. And I just like the overall depth. You get superstar talent at every position, which is something really important.
Absolutely. And looking ahead now for our next pick, there's really only like a handful of wide receivers left that are worth getting. I don't think you want to reach on like Scantling maybe, or like a Kadarius Tony, or even a DeAndre Hopkins might not even be a bad reach here. But the auto draft says we would take Mike Gesicki. I don't love that pick here. I think
I
he'll be
want to
available in a
go.
round or two. What do you
I would
think?
love to go either Cordero Patterson or AJ Dillon here. These are two very good value picks. Cordero Patterson had a phenomenal season last year. Now with Marcus Mariota at the QB range, he might even have a better season. With what we saw with Matt Ryan, but I
Then
like
let's
him or
do
AJ
it.
Dillon.
Let's do that before the clock runs out. But now we have five running backs. I think we're all capped out. I think that it would be a really bad idea to continue going running back, running back, running back. We need to start investing a little bit more in our wide receiver position. We only got three. That position's a little thin for us right now. So looking ahead,
I believe Cordero Patterson may also have wide receiver eligibility.
I don't think so. I don't think this year.
Oh,
At least right
not
now.
this season.
At least right now, he's listed only RB down here.
Okay, so we just have to see what comes around, and it
We're
is
on
our
the
turn.
clock.
Maybe
We
you
got
want to go
DeAndre
another wide
Hopkins.
receiver?
We have the big name DeAndre Hopkins, or you could go for maybe like not having to worry about that suspension. Christian Kirk just got paid, so you know that he's going to be featured heavily in the offense. Um, Valdez Scantling, Claypool. I mean, you're a Steelers fan. Tell me what you think of Claypool, real quick.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust any of the Steelers receivers this year, but I do like the Christian Kirk selection here. I think he's just a good value this late in the draft for a receiver position.
Then let's go for it. Um, this draft is really shaping up good. We got big name players, which is kind of important, not necessarily for team performance, but for potential trade baiting later. We have the name value and we have the potential value here too, because I like every single player on our team from top to bottom. We are kind of stacking a little bit on teams. We're really betting on the Chargers and the Broncos to have a lot of success here, and also a little bit of the Browns. But it's more of a
Sam,
handcuff situation with the Browns.
the if you're betting on the Chargers and the Broncos to be successful offensive weapons, I mean, you're making safe bets, in my opinion. So I
Absolutely.
feel like we're coming out of this draft winners for sure.
Is it time now to look at tight end? We're
Oh
at
yeah,
that
of
point.
course.
So
You
let's
get
switch
the
to
if
tight end only so that we can see who's available. Um, is any name jumping off the page here for you?
I like Zach Ertz. I like Pat Fryermuth. Basically, those two guys are popping off the page. But if I were to go one, I would go Zach Ertz just because of the high volume he's going to see in in this high-powered Arizona offense with DeAndre Hopkins suspended for the first 6 games.
Do we like Ertz more than Henry?
They're both good options. You can't really go wrong with either one of them.
All right, then we're going to just go. You know how when you're taking a test, you shouldn't change the answer unless you're 100% sure? We'll just go with our first pick there and go Zach Ertz. Again, at least name value alone, that's super high. We have seen older tight ends have resurgences, namely Gronk in the last few years of his career. He's been a massive player, both real life and fantasy. So hopefully we can see something like that happen here. The next few picks here are auto picks because people got tired and left the draft. So they're going by quick. We don't have a lot of time to think. Kenny Golladay, Tyler Boyd. Those are what I'm picking one of these two. Who do you like better?
If I were to choose anybody, I mean, probably Kenny Golladay, just because he could emerge, even past Kadarius Toney in this offense as the main guy. We've seen Kenny Golladay have successful seasons in Detroit. It's about time he has one in New York.
Fair enough, and I like this pick. He has some potential. Again, you're betting on Daniel Jones, so it's not the safest bet. But there's always time for them to make some moves, figure things out. Now we have 2 bench spots, a defense, and a kicker left. We have 5 running backs, 5 receivers. Is it maybe a good idea to try to take a backup quarterback just in case Lamar does get hurt? He does play a little reckless. He's a running quarterback first. Maybe we need some kind of insurance policy in case he does get hurt. What do you think of that?
Rather than an insurance policy, I say we take a shot in the dark with Trevor Lawrence. I think this guy could potentially have a second year bounce back year in Jacksonville, and we did invest in Christian Kirk. So if we did get that, emergence of this offense and the 2 main beneficiaries of this offense, it would be nice. And we did take Tua in our last draft as well. But
do we like Lawrence more than Carr with his old college teammate Devontae Adams on his team as a backup?
Both options are really good. Even Kirk Cousins is a good backup QB option. We could go Derek Carr. That's a fun offense to watch for sure this year with Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. Lots of weapons. Derek Carr could easily dish out some of the most passing yards in the NFL this season.
Yeah, this seems like one of those selections where, looking back on it after the season, Derek Carr might end up being your starting quarterback on some weeks. You might, some weeks, not every week. I think Lamar Jackson's still going to be better overall. But some weeks, you might look at their matchups and decide, hey, I want to start Derek Carr over Lamar Jackson this week. And you would not be wrong for thinking that because he might have some big performances. We're on the clock. It's suggesting we take Bucks defense.
It's defense and kicker time. So
we still have, I think we still have 1 bench spot. We still have 1 bench slot remaining. So do we want to take our defense now and then just take a bench later?
I mean, we could take a backup tight end.
Higbee
is a good option. Scroll up a little bit for me.
I just quarterback receivers.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely go Higbee. You can maybe bet on Joku, but Higbee is a safe bet.
You're just betting that the Rams are going to be the Rams, the Super Bowl champs. And, tight ends like to benefit a lot on a team that does have a good offense. If he sees the red zone a lot, all that means is that he's going to have more targets where he could earn 6 points per reception, if you know what I mean.
100%. And now we are in the defense and kicker range. Sam, I have to ask you, just because it's the defense and kicker range, which would you take first, a defense or a kicker?
I mean, if you're not getting Tucker, who I think might have already been selected, if I'm not wrong, you're not really getting any value by taking a kicker first. So defense, and then all kickers are kind of the same, just week to week. Same with defense. Really, if you're not getting a top 2 or 3 defense, it's all kind of the same at the end of the day, and you're just going by matchups. So if you're not getting Justin Tucker, or maybe who's the first defense selected? Let me just see.
Saints, it was Bills defense a while ago. It was a big reach.
So if you're not getting Bills or Justin Tucker, then you're not really gaining anything by taking one over the other first.
And by the time it comes to us, we should be left with either Steelers D, Colts D, Chargers D. Um,
We're on the
I'm a
clock now.
big I'm a big proponent of the Steelers defense. They have some of the best names in the league, but the problem is, will the offense make the defense be on the field too much this
True.
season? So
We also are looking
the
at
opposite
Chargers,
the
Dolphins.
opposite can be said for the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers is probably the safest bet here, because their offense will just, you know, run out the ball and be on the field a long time. So the Chargers might be the safest bet.
Yeah, and they just got Khalil Mack. They have the name value too. Bosa. I like the Chargers defense a lot this year. And again, it looks like we're betting high on the Chargers because we got Eckler, Keenan Allen, and now their defense. If you didn't know any better, you'd think we were fans, but now we're just picking best available kicker. I don't have any preferences here. Whoever's available to us. What do you think here? Just whoever's
We
on
could
top
just
of the
go
list.
ahead and take Mc, McManus. We took him in our last draft. I'd like him.
Yeah, if he's
It's
still
kicker.
there.
What do you want to give me? What do you want me to give expert analysis? He's gone.
Absolutely. Who's
let's
going to have
take
the most indoor games?
let's take Matt Prater here.
That's easy. That's an easy pick. Okay. We're done with our draft now. Before we wrap up, let's just take a look at our team. Let's see what we got here. Just from top to bottom, we got Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. Stop me when you hear a bad player because I don't think you're gonna. Keenan
Go ahead.
Allen, Jerry Jeudy, Zach Ertz. Okay, it was a little tough at tight end for us, but I'd rather have a bad tight end rather than anything else. Oh, and here we could actually go in the order that we picked them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather do the recap like this, to be honest. We started off with 3 running backs. And yes, usually that means your receivers are going to be weak, but I don't think our receivers are weak.
No, we definitely have a lot of value at each selection that we made today. You can argue that Jerry Jeudy could potentially work his way up to being a top tier fantasy wide receiver, at least in the A or B tier this season. Michael Thomas, you took a gamble on. Christian Kirk, you know what Christian Kirk does. It's a good overall team. I like it a lot. Will it win you the championship? You're betting on guys that'll go out there each week and maybe drop 30 fantasy points for you. It's definitely a league, a team that can win you the league, if you were asking me. I'm not upset with this team at all. If I'm looking at this, the moment I finish drafting, I'm like, wow, how did I end up with all of these talented players on my team?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're betting on, I think we were talking about this a little bit before we got on live, is that there's a lot of headache guys in the league. And yeah, we do have a couple of those that you could classify as a headache guy. But for the most part, these guys are safe picks. They're picks that are going to be on great offenses, on great teams. And yeah, do you not have the Jonathan Taylor or the Cooper Cup who can just drop you 35 points on any given night? Right. You don't have as much of that explosiveness, but what you do have is an incredibly high floor. And you have a lot of high upside guys too, with guys like Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy, even Michael Thomas, really, who could achieve that value.
100%. And with that being said, we appreciate everybody who tuned into this, mock draft. We had a great time doing it, and if you did as well, make sure to leave a like. And if you did enjoy this team or would have done anything differently, let us know what your strategy would have been with the number 5th overall pick. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and Banter Broadcast out. That's a wrap.